This one mistake is probably costing you at least 10 points on the LSAT. It's the difference between an average score and an exceptional score. It's the difference between a 150 and a 170 plus, and it's the reason some people plateau for months despite endless effort and hardly anybody is talking about it. Today, I'll break down what this mistake is, why it's so damaging, and most importantly, how you can fix it to unlock your highest LSAT potential. But first, for those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and I personally increased my own LSAT score from a 152 to a 175. Now let's start with the most common trap LSAT students fall into, the obsessive practice test loop. This happens when students take test after test, thinking that volume alone will lead to improvement. Here's what it looks like. You take a full-length practice test, you score the test and check the results. You're then celebrating the results if they're good or stressing out if they're bad. Then you move on to the next test, hoping for better results. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. This is what I personally did back when I first started studying for the LSAT. And guess what? Surprise, surprise, my scores did not improve. I plateaued because I wasn't addressing the root of my mistakes. I was wasting my valuable limited study time and burning through my valuable limited practice tests. Practice tests only measure your current ability. Taking them doesn't actually improve your LSAT skills. Taking more tests without reviewing deeply is like running the same track every day and wondering why your speed doesn't increase. You're reinforcing the same mistakes instead of correcting them. Now, the solution isn't more practice tests. Instead, it's better review. Review is where the real improvement happens. Without it, you're just stuck in an endless cycle of repetition. Now I'm going to share with you 3 reasons why review is so powerful. The first is pattern recognition. The LSAT is full of patterns. That's how it's built. Patterns in question types, patterns in the logic, patterns in the method of reasoning, and patterns in the tricks and traps the test makers are laying for you. Review helps you uncover and better understand these patterns so you can predict them on future tests and, of course, on test day itself. The second big reason is that review helps you understand your weaknesses. Every student has specific blind spots. Your blind spot, your weak area might be conditional reasoning. It may be time management, whatever it is. Review helps you pinpoint exactly what's holding you back, and then, of course, helping you determine how to fix it. Review also helps you reinforce good habits, because review isn't just about fixing mistakes, it's about solidifying correct reasoning so that you're not second-guessing yourself on LSAT test day. Now, the key to effective review is the Socratic review method. It's not about passively reading explanations or skimming through the answer key. The Socratic review method is an active process that forces you to dig deep into your thought process, and it's the cornerstone of my live online classes via Zoom, on-demand video courses, small group coaching, and personalized one-on-one coaching programs. If you're interested in finding out more, you can check out the links below to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. Now, here's how the Socratic review method works. Step 1, you identify problem questions. After every single practice test you complete, you go through it and flag the questions you got wrong, the questions you guessed on, even if you got them right, and the questions that took you too long to solve. These are the questions that reveal your weaknesses, and they're the best candidates for review. Now, step 2 is to analyze the stimulus. In logical reasoning, of course, it's the stimulus, meaning the argument. In reading comprehension, it's the passage. Same deal. Either way, you want to ask yourself, what was the main argument, the central idea, the conclusion, the reasoning? Did I misread or misunderstand any part of it? Were there specific words or phrases that tripped me up, like the keywords most, some, or unless? Or maybe do you struggle with the topic, whether it was science, law, or more abstract concepts or wording? Next step is to break down the question stem. Determine whether you correctly identified the question type, like strengthen, weaken, or necessary assumption. Was the wording of the question stem confusing or misleading? Did you perhaps misinterpret what the question was asking you to do? The next step is to evaluate the answer choices, and this is where most students fall short. For every single answer choice, ask yourself, What made the wrong answer choice tempting? Why did you fall for it? And of course, what ultimately makes it wrong? For the right answer choice, what made this choice unappealing? Why did you initially dismiss it? And of course, upon reflection, what ultimately makes it correct? This step is critical. LSAT answer choices are designed to mislead you with traps of encouragement towards the wrong answer choices that may seem right, and traps of discouragement, right answer choices that seem wrong. The final step is to articulate your findings. Write out or talk through your thought process. For example, you might write something like, I picked answer choice B because I misinterpreted the conclusion as being broader than it actually was. Or perhaps I dismissed answer choice C because I didn't recognize that it was a valid conditional inference. The act of articulating your reasoning forces clarity, because if you can't explain your reasoning, you don't fully understand it. This is why we use the Socratic review method in our small group coaching program, our live online classes, and our private one-on-one coaching programs, because it's not enough to look at the answer key and say, oh, I get it now. How could I have been so dumb? In a dialogue, in a conversation, whether in a one-on-one setting with your coach or in a small group setting, you can have the opportunity to speak with other students about your reasoning and clarify your understanding. So to recap those 5 steps of the Socratic review method, step 1, identify the problem questions that you need to review. Step 2, analyze the reasoning. Step 3, break down the question stem. Step 4, evaluate the answer choices. And step 5, articulate the findings. Now, let's talk about how to structure your review time, because proper review does take time, but of course it's worth it. You want to dedicate at least 2 to 3 hours per practice test for review. If you're taking the time to take a full-length practice test, spending roughly 2.5 hours on it, you want to spend at least that much time reviewing the test, because the review is where the learning happens. But don't review every single question on the exam. You don't want to spend your time reviewing 75 or so scored questions plus the 25 or so questions in the unscored extra section. Focus on the high impact questions, because the problem questions that gave you trouble are the ones that actually require the deep analysis. You want to spend most of your time there. Focus on the questions that revealed significant weaknesses or perhaps have the opportunity to teach you something new. Finally, use a mistake journal. Track your mistakes in a dedicated notebook or a Google Doc, for example. Include the practice test number and the specific section and question numbers. Talk through what went wrong and what you'll do differently next time. If you're not fortunate enough to be able to join a one-on-one coaching program like mine, or a small group program, or a live online class, at least articulate your reasoning for yourself in a notebook so that you can track your mistakes, track the key insights you're gaining from the questions you're completing, and of course, return to that mistake journal regularly to reinforce your learning. Now, let's talk about what happens if you don't review properly. You'll end up with score plateaus because you keep making the same mistakes and your scores will stagnating. If you don't progress, you might end up feeling frustrated and exhausted and run the risk of burning out. And of course, you're missing potential improvement, because every question that you get wrong is an opportunity to learn something new. And every mistake you don't analyze is a missed opportunity to improve. On the flip side, students who prioritize review see massive score gains. I've seen my own students jump 10, 15, 20 points or more in just a month or two by shifting their focus from practice tests to reviewing in depth. Now, here's the ROI on proper review. You get higher scores, and every single point on the LSAT is worth thousands of dollars, possibly even tens of thousands of dollars in scholarship money. It can also get you into better law schools, like top 14 law schools, and it can improve your critical thinking skills, which are going to serve you in law school and beyond. So if you'd like my help shifting your focus from obsessing over the number of practice tests you complete to shifting your focus to reviewing in depth, my team and I would be glad to help you out in adopting the Socratic review method in your LSAT study plan. We will help you create a personalized day-by-day study schedule to carry you all the way through your LSAT test date. If you'd like my help, check out the links below to book a call with me and my team. And in the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.